you hear me? 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everybody. We're getting ready to start here. This is just to kind of brief you folks real quick. This is our meeting, but at the end, we're going to allow folks to have some input, but it is our meeting, so we'll conduct our business first and then we'll open it up. Melanie does have to head out to another meeting after this, and since she's the one kind of handling this, it's important that we stick to the time constraints. Your comments be brief, and when she leaves, we may just have to call it. So that's just the way it is. Okay. All righty. So first, let's conduct a roll call. We can just start down at the end.
Rick Snow.
Cynthia Nava.
Sherry Jones.
Ken Martinez.
Barbara Boyd.
Johnny Martinez.
Ed Bowles.
Pat Davidi.
And John Perea.
John Perea.
Oh, he's there. Good. Thank you, John. All right. So we need to have an approval of the agenda. Motion to accept our agenda.
So moved. Seconded.
All righty. And the minutes, I forwarded them all to you this week. Barbara took wonderful notes. Do we have a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved. Second.
All right. So our committee was formed to refine and complete a previous process that was already in place. But we're finding that we need to get some more information, garner input from the village residents. And that said, Sherry Jones is going to give a presentation of what she's been working on. And I have to defend her. I was reading the comment. I know the comment has some things regarding our process. Then I guess some of it may not all be true, and it just caused a lot of heartache for all of us. But it said that she self-appointed herself to do this project. I want to say Sherry graciously volunteered, and so I'll defend everybody on this committee. So you need to know that. So she's created a product that's different from the comprehensive plan survey, and that's very important for you to know too. That is not our lane. Our lane is not the comprehensive plan. It does affect things that we have to take into consideration, but that's not our lane. So if you have comprehensive plan meetings, meeting comments, it'd be better directed towards them. If you need information on how to get a hold of them, talk to the village office, and we'll just try to keep ours to our project, just because it's very very labor intensive, and we got to get some information out to the public and back, and we can't spin our wheels all on all these different products. So Sherry?
Actually, Johnny, may I
Yes.
interject real fast? For those of you who don't know me, I'm Melanie, the village clerk. If you would like to speak during the public comment on number 6 on the agenda, please make sure you've signed up on this sheet that's up here at my desk now. If you signed the sheet and you didn't want to speak and you thought this was just a sign-in to show you were at the meeting, you can remove your name from the list. All people who speak, when I call your name, you'll get 3 minutes to speak. And you'll need to come up to the microphone because the people on Zoom will not be able to hear you. And we are recording this meeting. So if you try and speak without the microphone, it will not get picked up on the recording. Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie.
Is that the list?
Yes, it was the list that was right there at the door, and I've just brought it up here so we can call your name. Thank you.
Thanks, Melanie. Sherry?
So you're right, I did not self-appoint myself to this because I would never do that. Anyway, so when we got appointed to this board, as you know, there was a previous group that had worked on this quite extensively and had quite a lot of information. So we now have that information, which has been helpful. And we started these meetings, just walking in kind of cold and looking at lots and lots of plans, and started listening to the people that were coming to our meetings. And so it became abundantly clear that one of the things we needed to do was have a mechanism to get more input from the greater community, not just from the past group that was surveyed, but the new community. So the first thing I'm going to say is this is what I've come up with is just an attempt to probe the community's ideas and see where we're at. This is not a research project. You know, I guarantee you that if somebody wants to game the system, I'm sure they can. However, the one thing I can promise you, we'll do everything possible to protect the data and see where we're at when it comes out. So it's a very simple form. My idea for this was, and the only reason I think I got picked to this is because I knew how to use Google Docs. So no other qualification. So my vision for this was to make it as simple and as user-friendly as possible, that we could post a QR code in Facebook or any other relevant social media. We're working on where that's going to be. Also, we have some flyers that we're going to distribute to different groups and contact the organizations that are present in Corrales to see what their thoughts are, how they might utilize the facility, so forth and so on. So, but we wanted to make it short, sweet, and to the point, just to get a feel for what we're hearing out there and try to hold on to that. Only reason I chose Google Docs was because it gave me a format to capture the comments, and we could hold on to them. So they're not written on paper, lost somewhere, which is kind of what was happening. I mean, they handed me a bunch of handwritten stuff, and I thought, there's no way I'm going to type all this. I mean, sorry, but I'm a volunteer. So I wanted to make it as easy as possible. So that was the vision for this. And so we as a board talked about it and they said, go for it, see what you can do. The other thing we're trying to do is everything that everyone sends us, we're keeping it into a folder, and that will go along with, that will be handed over to whoever takes over from us if there's something that happens down the road. So that's the vision for the survey. Today, I think what we're really going to do is look at accepting the survey so we can start getting it distributed. That right, Johnny?
Yes.
Okay. So a couple of things that came up, and I want the board's opinion on this. They've all looked at this before, and a couple of the questions were making sure that we put in there, are you for the facility or not for the facility? And the other thing I want to clarify too is this is no longer a performing arts center. It is a multi-purpose center. So it has classrooms, it has an auditorium, it has outdoor space, it has lots of different things to try to accommodate for what we heard from the previous folks. We did not come up with the multi-purpose. That was what was given to us. And that was a recommendation, I believe, from the previous group. So we wanted to honor their work and continue to look at that. We have a very small purview. We're not putting things out to bid. There is no money at this time for anything. So, we're just making recommendations to what has been given to us and what we'd like to see in the future. And then we want to do recommendations that we hear from all of you. And we really are interested in your comments. We hope that you will take advantage of our survey and we can get all this information in there and hold on to it for the future. So that being said, I wanted to, do you want me? I don't think I need to read it all. Can I check? Okay, I'll just read them. Sorry. Okay, so this is my first question for my colleagues is, in an attempt to keep someone from not going in and just filling up anonymously with a whole bunch of these, which you could easily do. We wanted to, the only thing I could think of, I looked at Google, I even contacted Google to see if there was a way to verify responses and to limit the responses. Well, there is, but you have to have a Google account. I don't feel that that's productive because why would you make people get a Google account? It's not the easiest and they're kind of a pain to work with sometimes. Sorry, Google. I didn't think that made sense, and it just limits the number of people that can give information. So we're kind of stuck with, how are we going to verify this? So it comes down to people giving their first, last name and their email address. That way we can sort of keep track of who that is. There is a mechanism that we don't capture the email, so you won't get put on an email mailing list, I promise you, from me anyway. So we can do away with those things. It'll just be for the purpose of knowing that how many responses we got. The nice thing then is it goes to a spreadsheet, and then we can make them all anonymous, so it wouldn't be distributed with anybody's name on there at all. So that's the first thing. So the first thing we're asking is first name, last name, and email. We want to know if the person filling it out is a Corrales resident, a non-resident of Corrales, or is responding for an organization. And we did that because we didn't want to come up with 17 different surveys. So if you're going to respond for your organization, you mark that, and then you let us know what organization it is so that we can make sure we have accounted for all the organizations that we know of. And if we've forgotten any, be sure to let us know. We'll put a list of people that we're surveying, and you can let us know if we've forgotten anybody. So the next thing we were asking is, so that we've made hyperlinks so that you can see the actual drawing on the village website, so you can look at it before you fill out the survey. We've given a qualifier that funding has not yet been secured. The village government will research federal, state, and county grants, as well as private sources of funding. The mayor has said publicly that there will be no bond issues. And he said that in our last meeting. So that's what he's saying. Moving on. So the next thing, we're asking, what are your thoughts on the design process? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Very simple. Proposal, I'm sorry, learn to read. And then to qualify that, I believe some changes need to be made, and I have specific modifications in mind. These changes will help the village achieve goals more effectively. And we've given a long paragraph answer for that, so you can write several things. The next one is choosing the right architectural style is essential. What style do you prefer, both aesthetically and functionally? And we give you can put whatever style you want in there, and then we look at who likes what. The next thing, and this is the key part, this is what we really want to know. What facilities or services would you or your organization utilize? And classroom space for learning, classroom space for teaching, attend performances or events in the auditorium, host performances, events in the auditorium, attend performances or events in the outdoor space, host performances or events in the outdoor space, attend gallery events, and host gallery events. Next question is and this is really important too, because we see this as we want to include a lot of technology, or we're interested in that. What particular cutting edge technology would you or your organization like to utilize, and where would you implement it? So we want to make sure that if we do have Wi-Fi, that it's accessible, Wi-Fi or whatever technology we might have, that it's accessible to where it needs to be. In the classrooms, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, maybe certain things are, certain things aren't. In the auditorium, may have certain things doesn't need to be, certainly out in the outdoor space. So we want to look at that information very closely. Did I skip one? Let's see. Oh, yeah. Do you have suggestions of other ways, you or your organization, of other ways you would utilize the facility? So we'd like to, think out of the box what you might think you might use something like this for. I believe the multi-purpose facility will be beneficial and utilized by the residents and organizations of Corrales. And this is what we have to consider the wording on with my colleagues. The first option is strongly agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree. The other one is, are you or your organization this is the second option. Are you or your organization in favor of the proposed multi-use facility? Yes, no, maybe. Then if you fill that out, you fill in, why are you or your organization in favor of the proposed multi-use facility? The second option is, why are you or your organization not in favor of the multi-use facility? And lastly, if you'd like to contribute money, we'd love it. No, I'm not the fundraiser, I'm just teasing. But it's always good to ask for people that might be interested in working for that. So that's it in a nutshell for our thing. The two things we have to decide are, do we want to include the first name, last name, and email as a part of the survey? Or and which option do we want to use for, are you in favor of the two options? So I open it for discussions, I guess.
I think identifying information should be optional
Okay.
and not required to fill out a form, because some may want to be anonymous, and that would restrict the number of people that would be willing to fill it out.
So I discussed briefly with Sherry, as a control measure, perhaps people could put like the first two numbers of their address. You wouldn't have to put a name, you wouldn't have to put the street name or anything, but, you know, for example, I live on a 200, so if I just put 200, then we know it should get no more than 2 votes from a 200. That would be some kind of a control measure without us having to divulge who we are individually. I don't know, that's just my thought. I don't know what you guys would think about that.
I thought about that, and then I woke up and said, oh, there's lots of 200s, 205s. Yeah, I thought it was a great idea, but I don't know how we would do that either. I mean, I when you first said, I said, oh, that's great. And then when I really started thinking about it, it would just be repetition. So any other, what does everybody else think?
I've considered just using initials plus a social security, or not social security number, but we don't want to go there, but an email address would allow you to provide single point identification and would not give away a whole lot of information.
So initials plus an email address?
Yes.
Okay, that's an option. Okay, we have street addresses, initial plus an email address.
I don't know there has to be some identifier, otherwise people will just flood it. You know, you could put 100 responses in one day. I mean, there has to be an identifier. I'm not sure what that is, but it has to be something.
So Sherry did mention something, to your point, Cynthia, that people could generate different email addresses. You know, I've got 5 myself, so these are this is the challenge that we have to figure out.
And I think the initials could help because anything that allows us to say, oh, we're getting 70 responses from LQZ. So we could then look and see what the emails are and try to sort that through. I wish that there exist software packages out there that will do this for you. However, we have no budget, and I'm sure the village is not going to purchase that for us. So we're kind of stuck with just our volunteers doing this. So I'm not sure how you want me to proceed. I'm going to let Johnny take over.
Well, we have a lot of people at this meeting that we haven't had before. And so I would charge people that we can't wait till 11th hour moving forward. But the other part of this is you have to back up what you say. Let's go back a few years. My name is Johnny, and this is what I think. I'm sorry, but I think we might just have to resort to that. We're gonna have to get back to that because nobody wants other people to know what they think. And then, you know, there's a whole lot of misinformation out there. So, you know, who are you? What do you think? And with that, and as I've been trying to foster in our meetings, a respect for everyone's opinion. I might not agree with you, but I respect your opinion and we'll take it into consideration. And you are a person, you have a name, and I respect you. And this is your voice, and we will take it into consideration.
I think we can come up with an identifier somehow. Maybe when we get public comment, people would have ideas about things to offer us. But I still think it should not require a name or should not require an email, but an identifier to reduce the number of duplicates or multiple submissions by one person. But something that will help us sort out without forcing total self-identification.
Maybe just a first name rather than a full name. I don't know. I mean, it has to be ID'd somehow.
Mhm.
What about emergency addresses? Physical addresses?
No.
I think that's going to be, I'll give the full address. So we put our full address down. I would have open that to everybody else. I have no problem putting my name down, but many people do.
What about your phone number?
No.
She said that.
Great idea, but my phone number, I give it to my students and Just saying. But it's an option and we'll certainly consider it.
Well, we may not come up with a solution right now, but maybe after we hear from people in the public, they might have some ideas, and then we can regroup and come up with an identifier before we put out the survey.
So then the second one is, which wording would the committee like? Would you like the option of strongly agree, strongly agree, disagree, neutral? Or would you like it more simplified? And are you in favor of it and why?
I think it works as is.
Which one?
The 5 levels from strongly agree to strongly disagree.
Okay, all right.
But the why is important.
Yeah, we would include the why.
Yes, there is a place for why, yes. Mhm. Johnny, do you want to take a vote on that, or what do you want to do?
I think we need to chew on it. I mean, would you as a committee agree that we should chew on this and kind of see, what does everybody else think? Rick, what do you have to say on that?
I think the 5 selection is good.
I move we do pass on the 5.
Second.
Now you need to take a
Go
vote on
vote?
it.
Okay.
Once you have a motion, you need to take a vote on it.
Okay, so we have a motion for the 5, those 5 topics.
Aye.
Aye.
I'm neutral.
Aye.
Okay, so everyone but me. John?
Aye.
Okay, I'll fix that on the questionnaire. And then we'll just wait after the meeting to talk about how we're going to identify people. Someone came up with a great idea. I wish there was a way that we had a randomizer, because a lot of when you're doing this for research, you can do a randomizer, but it's really costly. And I don't have access to that. If I even had access to it, to one, I would use it, but I don't have that kind of research clearance at UNM.
Just for transparency, I did notice a typo. Maybe you fixed it in a new one.
No, tell me.
And which facilities or services would you or your organization utilize? The next to last one should be gallery with an R, G-A-L-L-E-R-Y.
Oh, thank you. I'll fix that.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
I have an item 2, Mr. Chairman. The question about what are your thoughts on the design proposal? I think we need to make sure that everybody's looking at the same design proposal. And there were multiple schemes developed by the previous committee. So is it the March 2nd, 2023? Is it the November 1st, 2022? Which one is it?
Well, Sherry,
I used the one that Melanie gave us that was kind of an aerial view. And that we got the very first day we were looking at it, that was sent to us by email. It's the only picture I had that I could get by. I don't know how to get the plans other than that. But
Okay.
I'm open for suggestions on that.
It is on the website,
I was gonna say, I thought you hyperlinked to the website, Sherry.
I did.
but I
So
think
that's
there
the
are
one.
multiple plans on the website as well.
Oh, super.
So
Yeah.
yeah, you might want to put a date, just pick which plan you want people to use. There's a date in the upper right-hand corner of when those plans were drawn up.
Suggestions, Ed?
Well, is this survey going to be distributed on paper as well as through the web?
Right now, through the web, not sure about the paper because it's costly there's printing costs, and that's going to be a village decision.
What about the people who don't use the internet?
Well, I thought of a couple of things. If we have, I talked to Johnny a little bit, and I really do appreciate that. I thought we could open it up to have a meeting at the, I don't know, at the gym or somewhere. And we could have several of us could have computers, and we could actually fill it out for people if they wanted. Or we could do paper, but that's not my decision on that. We also have to have someone input the stuff from paper into the computer. And I don't have, I'm just be very honest, I don't have the time to do that.
Okay, what about people with disabilities who make it more difficult for them? What I'm trying to get at here is that everybody's access to the survey should be equivalent. And if it takes some manpower on the part of the village, I say the village has to do it.
Yeah, there's a way of doing the forum audio. If you have, if a person needs, has low vision, we can do that. Certainly if there's if it's someone filling it out with a caregiver or something, there's not a problem with that. And I'm willing also to open up for people that need it, to do as much as we can. I'm more than happy. That's not the exact answer. The other thing that the comprehensive plan did was that they gave a Spanish version and an English version. I wouldn't even attempt to try to translate this. That's not my wheelhouse. But if someone would like to do that, I would be more than happy to distribute that. We could have 2 of those. We could have both versions. And we could have, I'm not sure. I'm gonna look at I'll have to look at the adaptations for persons with disabilities. There may be a way to, I know there's a way to enlarge it, but you can do that on your computer anyway. But it's the print option that I don't know how I would fix that, because the enlarged print would be huge.
Well, we could spend a long time discussing this, and I don't want to take more time than necessary, but I think it's a serious issue we have to address, is access for everybody, and Mr. Curry seems to be interested in commenting.
Yes, Ron, can you use the mic, Ron, please? So this is Ron Curry. He's our village administrator, for those of you that don't know.
So we appreciate your remarks, Ed, on that, and the village can make some spaces available for people who want to come, whether if they want to come to the administrative offices or if they want to go to the library. And so we can make those 2 spaces available at least.
Good, thank you. And I'd look forward to hearing from the public on this topic as well.
And I can ask someone to translate the survey into Spanish.
That would be great.
And Sherry, I would recommend using, I'll get the date from the one that we had up in the lobby, the plan. I think it was the March 2nd one that we had up that we were taking public comment on before our veterans display went up. But I'll get you that date.
Okay, this one's September 21.
Okay, yeah, no, the one that we had, the big one up in the lobby that we were taking public comment on, I think that's the one that should be used so that all the public comment is commenting on the same plan. So I'll get you that date.
And that's March 2nd, or you'll send it to me.
I'll send it to you, because it's over, it's not out anymore because we took it down to put up the veterans display, but
Okay.
I do still have it in the office, so I'll get that date from that.
Okay,
that plan.
so we can hyperlink to that. That's pretty easy. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Pat, do you have anything to add? I know they all spoke there. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, not
I haven't heard from you. Barb, you have anything? So everyone else has said something. The only challenge I would have to that, or that I could think of, is Cynthia mentioned in the last meeting that, we haven't really enlisted somebody who's a professional in the audio and the acoustic type stuff design. So Cynthia thought it was a good, thought it was valid input. So that might greatly affect the design that we're even working with. So I think once we collect all the information as far as what we really need as a village, and maybe, I don't know, maybe we put that out for people to come up with designs, people that are in the know. Anything else from any of the committee members? Nothing? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, it came to my attention that a couple of the early emails that were sent out by community people were very negative toward the mayor and toward my husband, Ron. And you decided at that point not to share those emails with me. And I think that's a wrong decision. And, I like the mayor. I do. I like Ron. He's my husband. But that has nothing to do with my opinion on this project. And so what I want to be assured of, and I want to assure for all the other members, that any information that we get, that we all get it.
Okay, so there was an email that I did not include you on. Actually, it was in a conversation, and I did forward it to everyone, and I thought I forwarded it to you the second time around. Okay, I will make sure you get it.
Let's just make sure everybody gets all
Yes, and the only reason was that in my defense was, I was trying to keep you out of an awkward situation, and I mentioned that to everyone else. So we can discuss that privately, but received, because if nothing else, and I want you folks to know, I'm trying to be transparent with everything. And so, and I received that, so thank you for that. Anything on this topic right here? If you just want to real quick mention, yeah.
So one thing I brought up at the last meeting, and all of you weren't here for the last meeting, was what the charge was of the prior committee. I'm one of the prior committee members, and the original charge was to design a performing arts center. And we quickly talked to Kiwanis and all of the arts groups and 4-H and principals, and learned pretty quickly that it couldn't just be a performing arts center. It had to include meeting space and classroom space and an art gallery. So we shifted from this 100% performing arts center to being much less than 100%. So I just wanted to share with you how we came to be here, and that's kind of why the name sticks around a little bit as a performing arts center, because that was the original resolution from the Village Council, and we shifted that really quite quickly in the prior committee. So I just wanted to share that information.
Yeah, so we can't go back and just keep spinning our wheels. We do have to move forward. But I did think, and as did some committee members have mentioned to me, it was important for us to get the message out to the community and get your involvement. People, it was mentioned, I think it was Ms. Dyfee, if I'm not mistaken, she mentioned that people feel threatened when they're not informed. And so, you might not agree with everything that we as a committee come up with, or even what the village does on a daily basis. But if you're informed and you have opportunity to speak, then that's all we can do as a democracy, right? We have a voice, and we're trying to respect that. And so that's why we felt the need to kind of come back a little bit and get some information. And as you can tell, our conversations are pretty candid. So that's the way I want to keep it. Moving forward, we're going to get some community input, but I want to say a couple things because it might answer some of the questions that you have. Melanie mentioned to me that she had some feedback. Why at 10 in the morning? Why not at 2 in the morning if that's going to be the case? So that said, she mentioned I thought was a good idea, and so I want to propose that to the committee. Perhaps in the new year, we're scheduled through December, but perhaps in the new year we can have something public in the evening that people can come, and then maybe even once on a weekend during the day. But I know that all imposes on your schedules, and so I don't know what you folks think about that as a committee, but maybe you could chew on that and we can talk about that. But I think that might give the village opportunity to speak, and no one can accuse us of not providing that opportunity. Okay. A couple of notes. I'm not here. I'm not anyone's parent here, but I think this is important to mention. What I feel might not be, what I feel is good for the village might not be what everybody else feels. So when we come in the setting, we all need to understand that, and so we want to respect everyone's input. I appreciate the village input, but again, we cannot wait for the 11th hour. You have to be involved. There's a lot of old faces here, not that you're old, but there's some Coradeños here that have a few notches in their belt, and we need you involved all the time so that we don't end up in this situation again. And I think the village knows they really need to exert a concerted effort to make sure the information gets out to everybody, so we avoid this stuff. The council meetings are on YouTube. So I have purposely not gone to the council meetings lately because I know some people go and they speak, and I'm trying to, as the chairman of this committee, trying to distance myself from any kind of bias. But I watch them on YouTube, and typical council meeting, 6 views, 8 views. This meeting, the one we had last time, the last time I looked was 113 views. So there's some interest. So we need you guys to be involved, whether it's just watching the videos and providing your input to us, or actually being present in a setting like this. So that's very, very, very important. That said, does anybody have anything to say regarding that? Yes,
Along with that, if you are interested in being kept up to date and you do not receive the weekly mayor's message, you can come and give me your email address. I'd be happy to add you to that email list. The mayor writes a message every single week. We post it on the website and email it out to anybody who's asked for it. And we keep you up to date on a lot of information there.
okay, thank you. So
Thank
we're
you.
going to open up for the villagers. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes, so I thought we did that. Any comments as a committee, Rick? Cynthia? Sherry? Ken?
I do. And as usual, I'm going to be a little more long-winded because I wrote down my comments. First, I want to thank all of you for coming. I think your attendance and your participation is really critical to making a good plan, whatever the plan may be. And I hope more people come, and I hope more people are involved. So please tell your friends, neighbors, even your enemies to come and listen to us and participate in the discussion through the public forum. Submit your comments by email, participate in the survey, whatever way you can. We do take your comments seriously. Everything that comes in by email, whatever we get copies of, and I'm making hard copies of everyone's comments so that they don't, they don't get lost. Someone is saying, where do we send comments? A lot of the comments I've gotten are through Melanie. I'm addressing that. So people are been sending their comments to Melanie, and Melanie forwards them to us. So her address at the village office is the one that we have been using. So also thank you to Sherry. Sorry about my phone. For the survey, I think it's really important that we all participate in the survey, and however we do it, please participate. Johnny has emphasized over and over again how we want to be transparent, inclusive, and diverse, and we really strive to be all three so far, and we want to continue to be. One word of caution is that this committee ends in April. So our time is very limited. It's going to go very fast, especially as the holidays are approaching. So I think we will need to proceed very quickly to circulate the survey, analyze results just as quickly, but very carefully. And that's when our substantive work begins, I think, is after we get the survey data in a combination with all the comments we've had so far to date. And that is synthesizing all of the comments and trying to find some viable ways forward. As with any plan, or as with all plans, any plan that or proposal that we come up with as a committee with your input is not going to satisfy every single person in this room or in the village, but it's certainly going to try to incorporate everything that you have to say into the eventual recommendations that we make. So I propose that our committee begin to plan how we're going to tackle the task of data analysis once we've gathered as much as possible, even while the survey is in process, because we can't wait till the survey is done and then try to figure out a process to analyze the data. The idea for this is to translate the data into a specific plan and a set of recommendations to the village administration. And I feel that our ultimate goal is to submit that plan based on informed analysis that's reflective of the majority of the opinion of village residents. And I think it's important because we on this committee try as best as possible to represent you and your views. And therefore your involvement, every meeting and in between meetings and talking with your fellow residents in Corrales is really important. So I would ask that, our meetings announcements of our meetings be included in the mayor's message the week before, along with a Zoom link so that everyone has access to that ahead of time, not just that, so you can be live listening to the meeting, and also so that you can access it afterward. I'm strongly in favor of scheduling night meetings because I think that's when we might get even more participation than from people who are, able to come because they're retired or have the day off. I think we want to get younger people involved who have day jobs. We want teachers here who are teaching while we're meeting here. So we need input from residents. No disrespect to you all. We want your opinion too, but we also want people who have work days that they have to consider. So I would propose that we begin scheduling night meetings from January through April in order to accommodate those individuals. Thank you.
I just have a procedural question. So when will we finalize Sherry's survey?
I like the information that she has on this thus far. I'm satisfied with. You guys voted on those questions, so I think once she incorporates that, I think, Sherry, will they be ready at that point?
Yeah, I am concerned about the accessibility of it, and so I'm just composing an email to a friend of mine who does that. And so I'm going to see if they have any ideas of what I can do to fix this form to make it more accessible, that we can actually, that we have the capability of doing for this committee. So I'm going to work on that. I'll get back to you as soon as I hear back from her. And because it's very important, and I agree with that. And also, we need to find out if we can print paper ballots as well. And if we can, paper surveys, and have them available as well. And then also talk down the road, I'd like to talk about how we can spread out and maybe go to groups or be at the growers market or different places like that. I do have a flyer that has a QR code and everything ready to go. We just haven't gotten that far, so.
Well, it seems like the other question we still had was the identifier.
The identifier, gosh, how could I forget that? Yep, thank you.
So if we wrap up those two, maybe if we could prepare to wrap up those two for the next meeting, then we'd be ready to go. Does that sound right, Sherry?
Yes.
Anything else? Okay. Nobody else?
I just want to thank Sherry for all the work you've done on this survey. You've done a fantastic job. Thank you very much.
Good for you.
Yeah, that the comment, the narrative on her work is, I didn't like the way it was printed. She didn't self-appoint, she volunteered, and it's a very daunting task, so thank you.
Okay.
So we're going to open it to the public at this point, but Melanie does this all the time, so perhaps you can listen to her and she'd give us some instructions moving forward.
If you have not signed up on the sheet up here, I know there were a couple of people that came in after I made the announcement earlier. If you want to speak, please make sure your name is on this sheet, and then I will call you in order on the sheet. You'll have 3 minutes. Please come up to the podium up here and make sure you're speaking into the microphone so that people on Zoom can hear you. So we will start off with Dr. Steve Comodina. If you could state your name and address for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
Steve Comodina, a resident of Corrales. I want to thank you for your work. Just a couple of things, and I will stay in my 3 minutes. I was part of the original committee to buy land, to start a recreation center. Chris Allen, I didn't see if Chris was here or not, but Chris was one of the members. There were 5 of us on it.
She's in another meeting.
And we tried to do it with no government money. I was in charge of a family giving, and we raised actually tens of thousands of dollars with every person in Corrales giving $10 a month. Now, if you calculate that out, it's a lot of money pretty quickly. We did a thing called the Holiday Hitch, and that was in the 1990s. And out at our farm, we have a half-mile racetrack, and we had an all-horse-drawn Christmas parade, and we had 100 arts and crafts booths in all the stalls, and they all paid a fee, and we raised tens of thousands of dollars. We did that 2 years in a row, and then it morphed into the Toys for Tots, thanks to Melanie Scholler. It was always part of the plan to tie up the land, because we knew there just wasn't land, and that was a center place. The Jones family had a wonderful place and wanted to work with us. And so that's how this all started, and part of it was always something that would meet the needs of everyone who lived in Corrales. And I was adamant about a horse arena. I grew up with Bosque Farms having a horse arena for their kids down there, and I thought that was the greatest thing in the world, and I wanted that in Corrales as well. And the Top Form people were wonderful in the money that they gave, and Don Chalmers. So that's kind of where this started. We're talking about decades, and there always was a multi-use building where you could hold meetings. I don't know what's going on right now, Mr. Curry, but in the past, I was president of CHAMP. I'm now president of New Mexico Horse Council. But if we wanted to have a meeting, even a candidate forum, we'd have to pay a policeman for an hour's time to use the gym. We'd have to pay $50. And that was how you used village property. So the Seventh-day Adventist Church let us use it for free. And they had tables and chairs, and they had a PA system, and they were wonderful. And for years, they've allowed people in the community to use their school for free. But we need a place where the people who do pay their taxes can have a place where they can have meetings and get some money for their taxes. So I'm so excited. This is the last chapter. We kind of did everything that was supposed to be in that thing, except for this multi-purpose place. I'm all for the arts, but I mean, how do you define arts? It's everything that's non-athletic. So thank you what you're doing. I'm glad it's coming to an end. I think there's a lot of craziness going on. We have a lot of mean people in Corrales, I've decided, which is unfortunate because it's a wonderful place. I started working in Corrales in 1953. My family bought Corrales Market, and after school every night, I would come down and deliver groceries.
Thanks, that's your
And
time.
am I done? Three?
That's your 3
But
minutes. If
I
you want to
love
wrap
this
it up.
village. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. Next is Bob Belanoff. If you could please state your name and address for the record, you will also have 3 minutes. Please speak into the microphone.
My wife Julie and I have lived in wonderful Corrales for 35 years. And you're asking me what I think, and I think this is, when I first heard this sitting in Gray Howell's backyard, I thought it was a joke. I think the most important and valuable thing that we have in this community are space, we have quiet, and we used to have dark skies. We don't have that anymore. I think what you're considering will not add value to our community, it will take value away. This is a unique community, and I'd like to see it preserved as much as possible with its original character and culture. If you try to translate a different character and culture here with an $8 million facility that just seems to be getting bigger and bigger to accommodate more and more people and getting traffic, you will change the nature forever. This is a physical object. It's not a policy, it's not a program. So there's nothing I can say here in 3 minutes that can possibly change your mind. If this is moving forward, and it appears to be, it will move forward. That's the way politics works. I understand that. But I'll take 1 more minute if I can, and I'll tell you a short story. About 10 years ago, the University of New Mexico and the city of Albuquerque, Marion Barry, asked me to participate in what would be a revitalization of Albuquerque. I'm a filmmaker, and I made films over the period of 1.5 years, talking to the consultants that came in. At this time, wasn't arty centers that was big, it was innovation centers. And the firm of Perkins and Will, a global international architectural consulting firm, was called in. David Green flew in from Barcelona, where he was creating a new innovation center, and plans were developed to create an innovation center. UNM wanted the rainforest, and the city wanted to transform, bring people down from the heights to downtown. Now, this doesn't sound like a good idea, but I have it all on film. The idea was that we would transform Albuquerque and it would become a hub center of the Southwest. Well, we all know what happened. Of course, people aren't going to flood down on public transportation to downtown Albuquerque, but the mayor was a construction guy. He had $80 million in matching funds that he had access to, and he was going to spend it. We tore up Central Avenue. We destroyed the only walkable space in the city. We didn't do anything for downtown. It's still not a place where we could go. And what have we got? This is something you can't reverse quickly. So I ask you, don't try to take away from what we have. Use your imagination. Everybody wants to build a building. $8 million. For $8 million, there are incredible things that we can do. And
Thank you, that's your time.
I'm troubled by the fact that we seem to be moving forward without any input. We're focusing on the minutia. Pay $10,000, hire an independent company to do a survey, get it right. You don't need to fool with this stuff. Get everybody's opinion. If you're spending $8 million, spend $10,000 on an independent consulting company who knows how to do this stuff and do it right.
Thank you, sir, that's your time.
Thank you.
Next is, I believe, Greg Howell. If you could state your name and address for the record, you will have 3 minutes.
It's Gray, G-R-E-Y.
Great, sorry.
My name's Gray Howell, and I need my address here, 344 Manure Road. I've lived here, born and raised from 1954, seen a lot of changes in this wonderful town. Grew up down by the river, and all these changes I see now, the ditches are drying up, the wildlife is diminishing, or at least the bird life. And I see the more and more in this village turning into a boutique subdivision almost. And it's making me very sad to see this happen. There's great things about Corrales that I love very much. I'm a performer. I play at the old church sometimes. I was in Corrales' first bluegrass band, the Clear Ditch Ramblers, years ago. I worked with Pete Smith on the band shell, small, wonderful little thing. All of this was our community. We were all involved. And I see now, I feel like this is being shoved down our throats with no involvement from the community. Thank heaven that some more people showed up tonight, or this morning, excuse me. And I think, I'm not for this. I think it's probably something's gonna happen. But I think really it ought to involve the agricultural community more and more into this thing. As long as the performing arts perhaps too, but that's not the big thing. What's going away is the agriculture, the way I see it in this community. And the involvement from all of us here. So thank you for listening.
Okay, next on the list is Mary Lance. If you could state your name and address for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, I am Mary Lance. I live at 18 Corval Place. I've lived in New Mexico, in Corrales for 31 years. I think, and thank you for all of the effort you put into this. I mean, I understand there's been controversy, but you've put in your time and done something positive for the village. So I want to say, if something is built over there, and I don't think it should be a foregone conclusion, I really agree with Gray that the agricultural character of the village should somehow be incorporated in it. I think that if something is built, it should be a very small space in character with the village's, the design is just, the design put out before, I think, is just unacceptable. Really urban looking and huge. I think that maybe a small space that had maybe a combined gallery and a small space that could be used for musical events or some other kind of events, a classroom, maybe a combined classroom and meeting room. I don't think there should be fixed seats in there. I think it should be really flexible so that it could be used for all kinds of activities. I agree with the accessibility point that Mr. Bowles made, and that it should be the whole thing, as I think you're all, really now currently expressing, at least, that it should be very community oriented. So, thank you.
Next is Teresa Lopez. If you could also state your name and address for the record, you will have 3 minutes.
Probably going to have to stand on a chair. But I just want to say that I don't agree with this building at all. I really don't. But not at all. Like she said, something much smaller that is for all the people of Corrales. And a lot of the people that I've talked to first have not gotten their postcard where they said that they were going to mail out that postcards to everybody in Corrales. I don't think any, the people that I've talked to, no one has gotten that postcard. I haven't gotten that postcard. And I also want to say that we need the paper. People like me, I'm not a computer person. We need something that I could go, like I've done, hand out personally to somebody for the surveys. Because people I know, being Hispanic, being here for 69 years, and seeing this place grow up, people don't get out like they used to be, because it's all newcomers, and we've been here for a long time. And I just want for a way for us to be able to get these papers or get the survey to somebody that doesn't need a computer. I really believe that. I really think that. And then also, I'm kind of concerned about the input of the surveys that are going out now. How do we know that, how are we, the people, going to know that those surveys are being turned in the right way? Is there an answer for that?
That is a different committee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's going to be for Chris Allen.
Okay,
So.
thank you. Okay.
I'd be happy to address that with you after the meeting.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
No. And just to clarify, that postcard was the comprehensive plan committee postcard. We took enough postcards for every address in the village to the post office. Once we took it to the post office, it was out of our hands. So I apologize for people who did not get it. It was a small postcard, but it was requested that every address in the village get one.
So I'm curious, I know that's not our committee, but how many of you folks did not receive one?
Wow. I wonder if it's a particular route or area of the village. Do you all have post office boxes? Interesting. Okay. All right, well, thank you for that. Next on the list is Val Mieta. If you could state your name and address for the record, you will have 3 minutes.
My name is Val Miera, and I'm 3 Coyote Canta, and I'm kind of against it. I'd like to see the Corrales stay rural myself. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, Mr. Fred Hashimoto. If you could state your name and address for the record, you will also have 3 minutes.
I'm Fred Hashimoto. I live at 485 East Lawn, Charlotte. For the MUF project that involves public land and public funding, informing the public and getting their input is paramount. ACE and MUF committees and the mayor have all stated that. At the April ACE presentation before council, the presenter admitted that no public forums had been held. Councilor Alsobrook then suggested having a structural outreach approach so that the public, including you all, could learn and give input. Isn't that a good idea? The MUF Regional Theater is an elaborate complex with a few classrooms and an art gallery added on for a sense of inclusivity and perhaps buy-in. The theater covers 70% of the facilities area and obviously much greater than that in costs. One of the first things to know before designing a structure is what's the intended use and for whom? The village seems to have it backwards. We've got a structure and how are you going to use it? That's not how it's usually done. So who's going to use this large elaborate theater and generate revenue to offset costs? The Adobe Theater moved from the old church, which has 150 seats, to its current venue, which has 90. They seem content and welcome there indefinitely. What happens if the Adobe Theater doesn't work for MUF? The Vortex Theater also has 90. Outpost, which features widely renowned musicians, seats 160. Small can be preferable to large. Many community actors, and I'm a community musician, prefer a smaller, intimate space with a full audience than a larger space with a lot of empty seats. Let's get more information on intended use and users, costs, revenue expectations and generation, traffic flows, and other essential items. All we have are pictures. From the comprehensive plan survey, we are learning that the historic small town village character is very highly valued, and that increased traffic is strongly felt to decrease quality of life here in the next 10 years. Both can be impacted negatively by a large regional theater in the middle of town. We all need more information about the proposed MUF with this regional theater. At your last meeting, some committee members also voiced this concern. Perhaps at some of your future meetings, ACE representatives could dialogue with you and the public and say what this is all about. What's the rationale? How did this started? Anyway, I thank you for your work and thanks for allowing us input.
Really quickly, Mr. Hashimoto, to address that, I highly encourage you folks to watch the last meeting because Barbara gave a brief rundown of how we ended up where we're at, starting with the original ordinance and their commission to look into a facility, performing arts facility. So,
didn't offer rationale, didn't offer cost, didn't offer.
There is also a presentation from the ACE committee. Their final report to the council is on the village website. I apologize, I don't remember the exact date of that meeting.
We can look into
Barb,
that.
do you remember what, was it April of 2023?
Ken remembered, April 11th.
Okay, yeah, April 11th.
Nice to have input where you can give and take and actually dialogue with people. Rather than just
That's what these meetings are for. That's why this committee was formed. I apologize for interjecting, but I just.
No, that's fine. So if we schedule in the new year, like I said, something more of an open forum, then everybody can be able to come. We'll make it available. You'll have a week's notice. We can maybe try to do an evening and possibly a weekday on the weekend. After that, I don't know that we can do any more. But I think that would be reasonable. But we'll talk about it as a committee and I'll see if they can all, if we all agree with that.
Thank you. Okay, up next, and Doug, I apologize, I did this to you last time too. I'm gonna get your last name wrong. Doug Castile, did I get it right?
It's Collins in the paper.
Right?
If I said anything bad, I'm absolved.
There you go.
Doug Castile, Chaparral Lane, Corrales. I'm diametrically opposed to this project. I want to retain Corrales' atmosphere as a rural agricultural community. We have a place already. The old church is the heart and soul of this community. It has a performing arts space. I'd like to see Adobe Theater go there again. I was here when they had their inception. As someone in the other meeting a month ago said, there's no acoustic structure in the old church, which is utter baloney. The Roman Church did 1,000 years in developing the cruciform fixed in their churches so their congregations would hear what the hell they had to say. It's got wonderful acoustics from a musician standpoint. I've delivered eulogies there. I've performed music there. I've done lectures there. We need to keep that. I'm a docent at San Isidro. That's the heart and soul of our center of our community. We don't need any more buildings at this time. I would love to see the committee recommend to the mayor that we need another year to get the word out to every person in Corrales. And then perhaps I would really like to see the whole thing scrapped and maybe restarted on a less aggressive scale. I mean, we are not Albuquerque, we're not Rio Rancho, we don't need to compete with them. Are we competing with them? And if we are, why? There's other buildings in Corrales that can meet a lot of the needs that have promulgated the initial design for this, but I don't want to see it. And I would like to see it on a referendum, a general referendum with ballots eventually, so we can control what we do. My good friend, Mayor Joe Craig of Los Ranchos, he's got a big thing going on there with that apartment building, but the prior administration over there approved 2 more multi-residential uses that he has injunctions against right now. I will be meeting with him and talking with him to see what legal avenues we have if we have to take those. Thank you.
The next name, I apologize, I can't read the last name. I believe the first name is Carmen. Oh, Titman, right? Okay. And Carmen, if you could please state your name and address for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
I'm Carmen Martinez Titman, and I live at 5567 Corrales Road for nearly 50 years. I'd like to thank you all for opening up this process and really allowing the community to voice their concerns. And as you can see from the audience, the process works when it's employed. So I just want to say that I have been kind of hitchhiking around, going to different meetings to glean and learn as much as I can, different focus groups. And Johnny, as much as I respect what you say about not wanting to be biased, I think we really need to have somebody or another committee, I don't know what other form it would take, to connect the dots. Because in all of the other meetings, several of the other meetings, people are talking about maintaining agricultural integrity, maintaining cultural integrity. And so it's kind of like the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. And I would really like to see it all be aligned. So the farmers, you know, these are working farmers. I went to their meeting the other day. There are a couple of gentleman farmers, a couple of hobby growers, but for the most part, they're working farmers, and they would like a facility. They would like a facility to do equipment share programs and labor share programs and education and a permanent growers market. So what about them? How can we kind of incorporate the needs of the entire community? But if people aren't sort of looking at all the data, you know, from all of the different groups, it's like this group is doing this and this group is doing that. I've been to probably, I don't know, 15 meetings, and that's not as many as there are. I know there have been something like 50 different interest groups. So that's one thing I have to say. I'm very much against the facility as it stands now, as it is designed now. If we could come together to build something beautiful for the people, of the people, by the people, then I think I would be inclined to do that, to be in favor of that. In terms of the access, it's a huge issue. Ed, I appreciate your emphasis on that. It's an equity issue. And it's a justice issue. And I recommend, as I did in some of the focus groups, that we do outreach to some people that cannot drive, do not do technology. And I want to thank Teresa Lopez has gone out with some of these Spanish-speaking forms to some people to help them fill it out. Again, these forms, the Spanish-speaking form was 15 pages. The form in English was 13. That's hard for somebody who isn't used to doing that kind of thing to fill out. So if we really take these issues seriously, we need to make accommodations. Thank you.
And again, that survey is a different committee. Up next is Rudy Mieta. If you can state your name and address for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Rudy Mieta. I live on East Meadowlark. Thank you, Sherry, for the questions on the questionnaire. I know you put a lot of work into it. There is, however, one question missing, and that's if the village decides they want to have a facility, and if that facility should include a performing arts aspect, okay? And thank you, Barbara, you're right. We have downgraded from 100% to only 70% of the space. But in regard to that current design, it's not just that it's a bad idea, it's an impossible idea. The metropolis of Albuquerque with over 500,000 people, and if you include the suburbs, almost 1 million people, does not support the concept of a regional theater. A regional theater, by definition, has a professional staff. They pay their actors. Most of them are actors, equity actors, and it's not supported even in Albuquerque. The idea that we could support it here is absurd. And yes, I know we have the Albuquerque Little Theater, and they probably have about 3 paid people. I think it's probably the artistic director, the stage manager, and the probably a tech person or something like that. The fact, so this isn't anybody's opinion, my opinion, anybody else's opinion. That's a fact. The fact is that the majority of theater, even in Albuquerque, is a hodgepodge of black box theaters. You know, the last time we had anything that filled up a facility of over 275 seats would have been Rodi Theater, and that would have been for a performance by Dot Teatro from Belgrade, Serbia. And that was part of the Revolutions International Festival. If you want more information, contact that guy who does the news on Channel 13, Chad Berman. He was part of it at the time from Tricklock Theater. But prior to that, it was another like 8 years before that, we did a production, La Posada Mágica, and it filled in, you know, all the people, but it was because it was bilingual, and it was, we had many children's groups coming in for field trips. The last time we had 275 people, we had over 300 people for a performance of William Shakespeare's Twelfth Night at the Veterans Memorial Park in August of 2021, 2 years ago. And the reason we got that many people there is, number one, it was free. Nobody's making a buck off this. Number two, a park is a park. You don't need a building. Number three, it was a bilingual production, so it brought in a lot of people. And number four, they had established a reputation. That's why people came in, you know. I mean, if you just take a cruise, let's start with, you know, Adobe Theater. What did we at, Barbara? 90 seats or whatever? 92. If you go down 4th Street, a little further, you go to North 4th Street Theater. What are they, 110?
Yeah, I think so.
Right around there. If you go a little further, you go Vortex. I think they're maybe 125 now. I don't know. They're
Thanks,
Black
Rudy.
Box Theater.
That's your time.
Okay, and
Wrap
one
up.
last question, and one last comment. The Black Box Theater doesn't even call itself black anymore. They're just a box theater, and they only seat like 45. So let's take a look at the facts. Thank you.
Up next is Ms. Sabina Schroeder. If you can state your name and address for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
Yeah, my name is Sabine Schurter. I live on 47 Rincon. Yeah, I think this is too big and too expensive. And I don't think the village of Corrales can afford it. I have no idea why anybody thinks that is possible. I have just gone through a summer of hell with a neighboring performing bar, outside music, 5 days a week, 7 performances in the week, hour-long, large, big concerts, rock music. It was awful. My neighborhood suffered. It took me 7 months to get the police to acknowledge that Corrales has a noise ordinance. I couldn't believe it. And what was the argument? Corrales needs the money. Corrales needs business sales revenues. That's why they allowed it. And that's why the police was told not to enforce our law. So and now we talk about 80 million. I'm like, am I dreaming? And this will not be the end. It will be more expensive to build this thing. Plus, it will cost us every month utilities, staffing, maintenance. It's too big, and I approve of all the comments that have been made before. Great ideas. Please listen to them. Thank you.
Okay, next on the list is Matt Montano. Are you still available? If you can state your name and address for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
Good morning. Matt Montano, 32 Victor Road, just off of Applewood. So my wife and I, we were blessed to get our property and move to Corrales in 2014 actually. Woo, it's 4 years there. But we've seen, and the reason we moved was for the cultural identity and the agricultural spirit and the village, the community and the village kind of spirit that Corrales kind of was. In that time that we've been here, we saw a neighbor bulldoze 10 acres of bosque land. We see all of this development over here off of Main Street, and it's just a mess. I mean, we can't even get onto Corrales Road from Applewood some days. The traffic's out of control. Now, I understand that, I mean, these ideas, they seem like great ideas, right? But I have to agree with a lot of the folks that spoke here. I mean, who are we competing against? I mean, we have our own identity. We need to protect that identity. And if you want to be real about the data, I've been doing data for the past 35 years, first with the Navy and now what I do right now. And I can tell you, we have an old saying with data, crap in, crap out. So if you're going to do a good survey, you don't make it anonymous, okay? There's definitely lots of mechanisms you can use. And I don't know who's talking about Google Docs. The thing I saw was SurveyMonkey, and I took it 5 times just for funsies.
That's
Okay.
Different committee.
All right, so there's Microsoft Forms, there's SurveyMonkey, there's Google Docs. There's a lot of different mechanisms to get input, and I think you can see that this isn't the best idea. Folks aren't on the board with this. My question is, why wasn't this put to a vote? More importantly, why is it that I go to the website, the meeting's on, but the meeting's off? But the meeting's on, meeting's off. That I got a word for that, shady. I don't agree with this at all. My name is Matt Montano, I'm on 32 Victor Road, and I am vehemently against this, and I'm not afraid to say it, and I'm not afraid to get a Google Gmail account to say that either. Thank you.
Okay. Up next is Joanna, I'm sorry, I can't read the last name, Drayle? If you could please give us your actual name and address.
My name is Johanna Drawley. I live at 990 West La Entrada. I've actually been in the village for almost 40 years. Vista Hermosa, which you all know, is actually what brought me to this village. When I was 21 years old, I have come here because I'm a horse trainer. I love Corrales. I have lived here 3 different times in the 40 years. I've been in the North Valley. I left the North Valley to raise my kids in a more agricultural area, more room. I have seen this village change, and I'm not liking it. I have watched friends move out of it. I'm fighting hard to stay here. I look at the blueprints of this, and I ask yourself, where's the horse arena? You're going to push the horses completely out of there because horses spook. Horses can't handle traffic. My next question is, I live on a very busy street now. I understand that. I know when festivals go on, my street gets shut down. I've had to go from no gates, no fences, to electric gates because people use my driveways to turn around. I now have to wait sometimes 20 minutes to get on my driveway during a festival. Last night, coming in, I worked down south of the airport a few times a week. I had to wait an hour and a half to get home last night, and traffic on Corrales Road was bad during rush hour traffic. You're asking us to build a performing center with 200, almost 200 seats in it, 250? Where's traffic gonna go? Where's the local traffic gonna go? You wanna bring in the arts every weekend? Where are we going to drive? Where are they going to park? I came to this meeting today. I stopped to let a pedestrian cross the road and the person behind me was mad. Waved their hands at me for stopping. Another car had stopped, I stopped. And they were mad because we let one person cross the road. You're asking us to bring in outside people from out of this village who do not understand our lifestyle out here? What's gonna happen? We are not gonna have the farms. We're not gonna have the agricultural. We're not gonna have the livestock. I am all for it. Let's build something. Classrooms, 4-H, meetings, cooking, growers market. That's our village. I love that. I raised my kids in 4-H in Bernalillo County because Sandoval didn't have anything. They have a beautiful 4-H center down there that is open to anybody to use. Classrooms, theaters, set up the chairs. They have a stage. Everybody utilize it. That's what Corrales stands for me. Bring the families, bring the agriculture. 4-H, FFA. It's about raising animals, farms, having a lifestyle community. We're going to lose it. I've lived in Los Ranchos. I watched Los Ranchos disappear. It doesn't exist anymore. When I was a kid, it was a dream to drive up and down Rio Grande Boulevard to see all the farms. Carlos Equestrian Center was the hub of it. It moved to Vista Hermosa. It was a beautiful place here in Corrales. Anyways,
Thank you, that's your time.
my opinion. Thank you.
Up next is Marianne Wazoliak. Did I say your last name correctly, Marianne? I apologize. If you could, please. We have two more people on the list.
One more, okay. Okay, my name is Marianne Bishoek. I live on Monere. I'm going to be brief because I spoke at the last meeting, and I also put a long letter in the Corrales comment that all you counselors received as well, and nothing's changed as far as my opinions there. I think that the Performing Arts Center would be a complete disaster, but I do think that a multi-use facility, for all the reasons that people have been talking, would be a fine idea if certain things are dealt with. And this is where the one comment I have is, I didn't see anywhere in these plans where parking was dealt with. So I think in your survey, I would recommend you ask, this is sort of might be a slanted question, but the only parking that I see that would be in the area of that facility would be either if you took land that was purchased under our farmland preservation fund and turned it into parking lots, or if you moved the farmer's market. And I think if there's another way, fine, but I would put some sort of question there about, is this acceptable to people? If parking had to be done by doing one of these methods, do people find that a reasonable thing? And obviously, from the way I'm talking, I don't think we should pave paradise and put in a parking lot. You can, that's certainly tell how old I am. That's the one comment or recommendation. The other one is that I'm sort of disturbed by the way we're characterizing this thing. First, it's a performing arts center, then it's a multi-use center, and then it sort of seems to be whatever we're talking to wants to call it. And the picture in the mayor's message or the March 2nd picture is still a performing arts center. It's still that 200-person thing with one little classroom and one little something else in a giant gallery. So I think it's sort of a little, somewhat of a problem for me to say to people, okay, this is where we're starting. I don't think we should be starting with this huge thing and then saying, well, it's not really that, it's really a multi-use center, because it's not. That picture is a performing arts center, which I think would be a really bad idea. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, and our last speaker of the morning, Miss Janet Blair. Janet, if you could state your name and address for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Janet Blair, and I live at 1224 Andrews Lane. I have been a resident of Corrales since 1984. I would implore you to please do a better job of public information on this project. I don't know how much of this you can see, but this is something that has gone over Facebook. It says, whoa, and it shows somebody galloping, presumably towards a performing arts center. The equestrian community, and I guess I should say that I am one of the co-chairs of the Corrales Equestrian Advisory Commission. And I am speaking for them and for myself when I say that you guys need to talk to the folks in Corrales and really explain what this is all about. If we continue to call it a performing arts center, you're going to have nothing but opposition. The equestrian community is extremely concerned that the Performing Arts Center, it means that you're going to pave over Top Form Arena, or in other ways impinge on the parking, the trailer access, and other aspects of that facility, which is highly valued by this community. We are the horse capital of New Mexico. And by the way, we're having the Christmas de los Caballos parade this Sunday at 1. Everybody should bring your horse decorated and come, because it's the kickoff for the Corrales Fire Department's toy and food drive for Christmas. Okay, I get extra 30 seconds, Melanie. In any case, I personally think that we are in desperate need of a multi-purpose center. the Corrales Equestrian Advisory Commission and other groups, we have a terrible time finding meeting space. Right now, we have our monthly meetings. We pay $30 sometimes to go down to the the double rainbow. Oh no, that's Flying Star. And now we are currently meeting in Ann Taylor's real estate office because there are no other meeting rooms during the week. We are in desperate need of meeting rooms and classrooms for education for our kids, meeting spaces for training. The SEAC has different trainings during the year for horse safety and other aspects of equestrian management. And there's no place to do it. We also have to depend on the Latter-day Saints Church and gymnasium for chant meetings and other big gatherings. So this is really something we need for our community. But back to what I originally said, I would urge you to come up with a better public information system that makes it clearer to the village residents what exactly could be involved in this. I am neutral on a performing arts center. I still think that might be a nice idea if it was a small one. But I can tell you that our need for a multipurpose center is desperate in terms of meeting rooms, classrooms, and other aspects.
Thank you, Janet. That's your
Thank
time.
you, and come to the parade.
And Johnny, I do need to get to another meeting here at 11:30, so if we can
Okay,
wrap
so-
it up and have everyone.
Committee members,
exit.
do we need, anything you need to discuss? I want to thank you all for coming. Obviously, there's interest. You need to come. You need to be involved. You need to go to council meetings. You need to watch them on Zoom. You need to be involved. And then we won't end up here again. Okay? Do I have a motion?
No.
To adjourn? Oh, go ahead.
Am I leaving names and email on the form?
I'm going to say yes.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Hold on.
I'd like for the committee to vote on that, please.
I'll say yes, Pat.
I will not say yes to names and emails.
Rick?
I don't want names and emails out there. I don't know how you're gonna control them. If you can, that's the reason I said initials.
That won't be public information anywhere, will it? That's just for you?
No, we take the names and the emails off. They won't even show up on the form. Yeah, no, and I can delineate that so it doesn't come up, yeah. Because I don't want, we're not, there's a way that you can capture emails, but it's turned off, so.
So right now you have 1, 2, 3 yeses?
I'll change mine to a yes.
Okay. It's 4.
If females and names are retracted or deleted, and there is no identifying information for people to determine later, then I'm in favor.
Yes.
I'm in favor.
Okay.
I'm in favor, Chairman.
Can I just say something?
Of course.
Those of you that represent organizations that have ideas, I would love it if you would fill out the survey and make sure that we get your information. That would be great. We'll have it distributed as soon as we can get this final edit done. Okay, thanks.
And along with that, I would like your information so we can dialogue.
And also, Johnny, if I may just say, just to be clear to the community, this is 2 separate surveys. So we have the current survey through SurveyMonkey for the comprehensive plan, not these guys. That's what the postcard was about. And that one closes November 27th. This will be just for this committee. It'll be a separate survey. So just to clarify.
Real quick, make it quick.
What's our next meeting? Next meeting
December, I believe it's December 7th, I believe?
Yeah, it is. It is the 7th.
2 weeks from
2
today.
weeks from today. 2 weeks from today, same time.
And that'll be on the mayor's message and it'll be posted. Okay, Melanie has to leave. Melanie has to leave. Any of those who want to talk to us afterwards, feel free. We're actually invited. Do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
That's 6 months earlier.
Okay. Ed and Ken.
And-
Folks, have a great day.
Here's the latest.
Melanie.
Yeah, but that's okay. You did good.